Hello, I'm Philip Duncan from WeatherWatchTV on YouTube, an IBM business partner. Thank you for joining us as we take another look at Tropical Cyclone Jasper, which has weakened even further today, but may well still get a little bit more strength before it makes landfall on Wednesday. Here is its location as we recorded this on Monday morning in the Coral Sea. Category 1, this big block of high pressure over the Tasman Sea is the guiding force. Tropical storms like the path of least resistance. So if you imagine this is a mountain and this is the water, it wants to go around it, not over it or through it. So as the high down here moves further towards New Zealand, the low up here has got a better chance of sort of growing in size again, and that may well happen in the next couple of days. But I do think it's fairly safe to say that the storm, as it shrinks a wee bit in size, becomes more of a rain event than it does a wind event. We still have to watch it very closely on sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, just before landfall, when it does slow down and likely to re-strengthen a wee bit. But rain is more than likely going to be the main issue unless it gets back up again over severe Cat 3. So this is the wind map as we recorded this, and gusty winds now from Rockhampton to Mackay. Those areas were quite blustery. Yesterday, Hamilton Island getting gale force winds in that area. So this is over the rest of Monday, or at least Monday morning if you're in Queensland, showing the gale force winds moving in. So the centre of Jasper out here, it's moving towards Cairns, although it looks like now it's going to Townsville, but it's slightly curving and may well start to sort of lift a little bit more northwards again in its tracking. The green, I should say, that you see all along here, the pale green, indicates gale force winds, which, don't usually cause too many headaches unless you're a boatie. These are the damaging gales in the darker green around it. So that's the area still to keep an eye on, and that matters about the precise tracking of the centre itself. But the rain, that's likely to be quite widespread. So here is the latest tracking. Category 1, slightly cooler sea conditions as well in this part of the Coral Sea. Warms up about 0.5 degree more as it moves in towards the coastline here, and it slows down. So that's the likely thinking behind the computer modelling and the Bureau of Meteorology's thinking. We're seeing this not just from them, but from our IBM data sets as well. The storm weakens a wee bit and strengthens a wee bit, and then looks to track all the way off to the Northern Territories. So the area from Townsville to Cooktown, that has not changed. That's still the risk zone. So let's have a look at where it's likely to be. This is 4 o'clock today, Queensland time. The storm offshore, but rain from really all the way down to the south, basically from Mackay to about Townsville or Ingham, getting that patchy rain, showers, maybe a thunderstorm, and then some drizzly light stuff as well. It won't be solidly raining all the time. Worst winds here around Bowen to Townsville in that coastal area. Let's move through till Tuesday, 1 p.m. Storm hasn't moved much, so it's kind of moving in at a decent speed, and then it gets to a point where it seems to slow right down. The pale blue all around the outer edges here, that is still that kind of patchy rain, not necessarily overly heavy, but it's expected to become heavier as we go in towards Tuesday night. Now, this is the map where it gets more interesting. Wednesday, and we've got 2 maps here on top of each other. The American model, which is here, and then to the north, AXSG, the Australian model. These 2 models are basically about 200 kilometres apart. That's fairly normal, 48 hours in advance. Sometimes the modelling, they're all on top of each other. Sometimes they can be even further apart. But within 200 kilometres, you're starting to get a lot more clarity. Now, the reason why it matters about landfall is that's where the worst of the winds are, and the storm surge as well. So you get an extra metre or so of water. The storm kind of sucks up a dome on top of your high tide, on top of any king tides, and on top of any flooding. So you got that as well coming through. Now, that only happens around the middle part. So if it makes landfall north of Port Douglas or anywhere down to Innisfail, that's why we talk so much about the centre of the storm. Now, that's with the GFS one compared to the Australian one. Here is the American one compared to the European one. We use the American one as the base standard foundation globally. And then you add on these other ones for a bit of interest. And you can see here, the European one's coming in a little further south. So really, we're talking about within a 200 kilometre distance, and it's mostly between about Port Douglas, a little further north of there, down to about, I would like to say Ingham, but I think Innisfail to Cairns are the areas, or Port Douglas, that are most exposed to this. And so let's take a look now at rainfall. So this is the American modelling. All you have to worry about is the big blue. Now, I know you get some really big rainfall totals up in Queensland, but whether or not you get sort of 300 or 400 millimeters falling in just a single day or so, that's probably not so much the norm. So that's why people are worried about flooding. And remember, storm surge at the sea blocks the rivers up, and that can cause coastal inundation. So it's not just a big tropical thunderstorm dumping a huge amount of rain and a flash flood. It's that, and then the sea potentially blocking the flow of that water to get out. So you're seeing in this bright blue area, that's off the scale. So we're talking 300 to 500 millimeters, up to half a meter of rain. This is the European modelling, shows it further north, Port Douglas, and then going well inland to that area. Further south, rainfall totals of 100 to about 250 millimeters. That's a lot more acceptable, I would imagine, if you received it like that. And then we've got the Australian model, which is now finally showing up the rainfall. And the Australian one takes those other models and adds local data to it as well. So it's better when you get closer to the time. And this is showing very heavy rain north of Cooktown all the way down to Innisfail. Those areas in that 300 millimeter plus zone, with potentially from Cairns to Cooktown getting that 400 millimeter plus. Now, it's up to the Bureau of Meteorology to decide exactly how much you're likely to get in their warnings. So please do pay attention to the Bureau of Meteorology BOM. They'll be the ones tracking this in much more detail over the next day or so. But like I say, wind may not be so much of a problem, but we do still have to keep an eye on it in case it stalls offshore and does grow back to a category 3, which is what the modelling was saying only just a few hours ago. It's tapered off that now. That's a good thing, but the rain could be the bad thing. So I hope the video is helpful. We're trying not to overdo it. We just want to give you the facts as best as we can. And hopefully this is helpful on top of your local official warnings out of the Bureau of Meteorology. We're back again tomorrow, Tuesday, with another special update. We'll have special updates until the storm makes landfall, most likely on Wednesday. Thanks for the support. Thanks for all the comments on YouTube as well. And we'll see you on Tuesday.